do, guys? It's Mrs. Reynolds, and I wanted to do a quick little Mother's Day teacup and flowers sort of situation. So here we go. The first step you want to do is decide if you want your paper to be vertical or horizontal. Horizontal meaning wide, and you can have maybe a shorter cup and then lots of flowers up top. Or if you want to do your paper vertically, then you can have, you know, a medium-sized cup and then lots of flowers up at the top. It's really up to you. I feel like I'm gonna do a wide cup. Why not? So the first step you wanna do is try and get that round cup. So you don't wanna do a perfect circle. You sort of wanna take that circle and turn it sideways and get an oval. So I'm just going to start on one side, go out, and then quickly turn back around and then go back the other way. Now I'm not connecting this back here because there's gonna be flowers and things back there, and so it doesn't really matter if you can see the back. So then I'm just going to curve over here and then curve on the outside edge and curve it in. And then the bottom, you can make it just sort of straight across or just a little bit of a curve. Now I didn't leave too much room at the bottom for a saucer for my teacup. Let's see if I can fit one. So it's the exact same shape, go out, curl back in, and then I ran off the page, no big deal. And then out and then back in, and then there's kind of the little saucer. And if you want to add a second circle in there, sorry, oval, then you sort of just add it in between, okay? Not too bad. And then I want a handle. So you can make it a fancy handle, you can make it a regular handle. I'm just gonna go for a nice little comfortable handle. Make sure you double that up. And then there's your little teacup start, okay? We're gonna add some flowers, we're gonna add some leaves. We're just gonna have fun with it. So the next step is to get some watercolor and just watercolor blobs and shapes around. And then we have to let that dry. I have to make sure not to use my real tea as my water cup. Keep those separate. Don't drink your paint water, and don't dip your paintbrush in your tea. As I was drinking, I had to make sure I saw the tea bag. Okay, here we go. Let's paint. So I'm just going to paint blobs of color, okay? All around. And you might do the same, you might do small, like maybe they're little buds of flowers. And we'll go back on top of them later after they're dry. So don't worry about that. Maybe a little bud up here. Whatever colors you want to use. And a little bud hanging out over here. Ooh, yellow. Now be careful, they might bleed together, and that's okay. If you don't like it, just dab it with a paper towel. And now let's let that dry.
And then I'm going to get some tea, and then I'm going to give that picture to you so I can go pie.
Perfect. So the next step, after your blob flowers are dry, I wanted to add the green. I didn't want to add the green for the leaves while they were drying because then it would bleed in and kind of look a little messy. So now that they're dry, let's add some green leaves. And you can make them sort of in between. And they can be blob shapes too. You don't have to keep them perfectly leafy. Just sort of fill in all that empty space that you've got there. You can make long, skinny leaves. That's fun. You can make short, ovally shaped ones. That works too. Use a couple of different greens here. They can hang off the side. Any kind of shape, just sort of fill in that empty space in between your flowers. And anywhere that looks like it needs some, put some in there. Ooh, I like that. Little bitty brush strokes to make little bitty leaves. That's fun. All right, and let's let that dry. And now it's time for those finishing touches. So what I'm gonna use, I'm gonna test out different things. I'm gonna test out the colored pencils, and I'm gonna test out markers and see what I like best. And all you do is you start to draw the flowers that go inside the blobs that you've made so far. So if I've got this purpley flower, I'm gonna try this dark maroon colored and see how I like that inside. And I'm just gonna start with like these little heart shapes and just start building that flower using that same shape over and over again until I get out to the outside of the flower. And just keep building from the center. And if you run into other flowers, that's fine. So then I keep going. I'm gonna try out the colored pencil and see what I like, if I like it too. So I'm gonna try this one, and this time, I'm just gonna start in the center and just do some wiggly lines. So you want your flowers all to be different and exciting and unique and beautiful, just like your mother. And it's okay if you get outside of the lines of the colors that you've painted, no big deal. And then in your leaves, you can trace them, outline them, add some lines on the inside. Just make sure whatever you're using to outline them and add the details is just a little bit darker than what you've got there so that you can see it. You can even like add to what you've already got there. I'm gonna add these little ovally shapes to that line I made earlier, and now I've got some little leaves. And not all of the leaves need a lot of details. All these little ones that you've got in there, they can just have a little detail to them.
Wait on this flower. Wait on this flower.
That's a great idea.
I shake the beads.
Oh, thank you.
Look what on there.
I'm gonna do some big.
Ooh, look, you can see it.
Yeah.
It does look like eyeballs. They look like eyes. Lots of eyes. Look, look.
All your flowers drawn in, you can decide what you want to do for the mug. Maybe your mom has a really favorite mug that she likes to use, or maybe there's a mug in your cabinet that you really like or has some cool designs on it. I've got a couple of mugs that have different things on them, but since the flowers have a lot going on, I'm going to keep the mug very simple. I have a really cool geometric mug that I really like, so I'm going to use that as my inspiration. So as you're coloring, if you make the outside edge and the bottom a little bit darker, then your cup will end up looking a little more rounder, and keeping the center a little bit lighter will make it have that nice round three-dimensional form. And if you've got any weird empty space where the cup is, where the flowers are. If you just fill that in with brown or black, something like that, it will make it sort of more full and make sense there. So I think these are absolutely beautiful, guys. I am so happy that you participated with me today and made these beautiful Mother's Day flowers. I know that your mothers are going to love them. So let me know how you do. I'd love to see your work, and I'll see you next time. Bye.